one of the main things is in terms of honoring your own intuition, is to not have to explain it. And I love that you somehow already knew that. That's just so brilliant. What's that?
I've never, that's my, I mean, sometimes it's a negative thing. You can't put words to it or describe it. And that floats great with some people, and it's inspirational for some people, and it freaks the crap out of some people. So
that's right. Welcome back to The Intuitive Voice. We are your hosts, Martha Arnett and
Angela Hebner.
Today we are so excited to introduce our first podcast guest. Drum roll, please. Julie Fisher.
Julie Fisher. Give it up for Julie.
We're so excited you're here, Julie.
She has been our first guest. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about Julie. Julie Fisher is a co-founder of FC Studio, which is a full-service architecture firm based in Chicago. She is a graduate of the School of Art Institute of Chicago and got her master's degree in architecture from the University of Illinois in Chicago, where she was also an adjunct professor. With over 35 years of experience, Julie's led projects for local institutions such as Steppenwolf Theater, the Wonder Museum, and the Chicago Cubs organization. Wow. Now in her 26th year with her business partner, Rachel Crowell, their extensive expertise to corporations around the country, such as Disney, Amazon, and Walmart. To continue fueling her soul, Julie launched FC's latest business venture, Field Plus Fold, a lifestyle brand featuring selections of prefabricated cabins and saunas for hospitality concepts or personal use. She believes in taking a holistic approach in everything she does, which helps to push boundaries and ask good questions. Julie currently lives in Evanston, Illinois, with her husband and dog, and is still missing her 2 adult children who are off enjoying college life. Well, we can totally relate to that. Welcome,
Yes, we
Julie.
can.
So excited to have you.
Yeah, so happy you're here.
so honored to be here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Julie and I, full disclosure, Julie and I were neighbors when I lived in Evanston, Illinois, and we would enjoy chats in the backyard. And Julie and I often would come around to talking about intuition. And I was always taken with how much Julie integrated intuition into, and I don't know if you use those words, Julie, but when we would talk about your business and my business, we often would end up talking about the intuitive aspect of how things went. So I'm super excited to talk with you today about that. So let's start with a question. Julie, I'm just super curious about when you hear the word intuition, what immediately comes to mind?
I think, and just going back to, first of all, I should have added that I also miss having Martha and her family as my neighbor.
Oh, rightly so. Rightly so.
Thank you.
Lost
we miss
you.
you all too. Yes, that's right.
I think a lot of it, I honestly, when you just said, do I use the word intuition? I really would say it's the word gut. Like it's just my gut. And I use that term a lot. And I also say a lot, I can't tell you why, I just know this is what we need to do. That's actually a gigantic statement that I make frequently, which goes great for most things, except for sometimes in business when, my brilliant business partners like, we could put some numbers to that to make sure it's like a viable idea. That would be great. And I'm like, oh, yeah, okay. Yeah. So I'm sure we'll get more into that, but then that, but that's, I honestly say that is the statement that I make the most. And that's how I think about intuition the most.
I love that so much, Julie, because we have talked about this on the pod where one of the main things is in terms of honoring your own intuition, is to not have to explain it. And I love that you somehow already knew that. That's just so brilliant. What's that?
I've never, that's my, I mean, sometimes it's a negative thing. You can't put words to it or describe it. And that floats great with some people, and it's inspirational for some people, and it freaks the crap out of some people. So
that's right.
Like everything in life, also finding the people in your life who you tend to end up surrounding yourself with people who you ultimately hope know and love you for who you are, and they take it or leave it. So
That's right.
Excellent.
a couple people have stuck around.
How, Julie, you said you feel it's like a gut instinct for you. So is that what it feels like? Because we've also talked about, for people, how do they identify it as intuition or gut instinct? Like, is it a feeling in your stomach? Is it something else?
It's a feeling in my stomach, and I will say I'm not the most indecisive person, and I think that's what makes me think it's intuition more of like a just, again, it's unexplainable, but and I think that's why, from a business standpoint, that's why people hire us, and I think they want someone to stop that question that goes in their head. I think people spin, or they're looking for validation, or they're looking for justification for some kind of decisions. And sometimes, for example, with clients, it could be, from tearing down walls to gutting something to like the fabric on their pillows. People have a problem making decisions. And so what I also find that I think our job is almost like this intuitive process that we are spilling out to our clients, because that's our profession. When people come to you for therapy, and people are looking for answers, they're looking for something. So maybe it's to validate their intuition.
Yes.
To they just don't have it. And I again, you guys talk so much about it. I've enjoyed your podcast so much, by the way. And that's an interesting point I think you make a lot, is not trusting that.
That's right.
That intuition. And so I just think it's sad, especially today with Instagram and seeing all these things, that people just want this kind of like validation or someone to help them to make decisions, which to me, I don't have the most amount of patience around. I was like, just make a decision. Like what feels good to you? Why? Sometimes I'm impatient around that, because to me, I was like, just do what feels good. Do what makes you happy. What makes you sing inside. And it's again, I'm not criticizing it. I just would hope that people would, be able to find that within themselves. And I think that's gut, right? Like feeling good enough, and again, Mark, one of my favorite story is, you got in that car when you shouldn't have, right? Is it like, I'm always right? I think that's the part I also like about my job, is knowing that like I have that ability to see something clearly, and that's why they're interested with something. So hopefully I can help.
So one of the things I loved about what you just said, Julie, was this, you can see clearly, you can feel kind of like what feels right for the setting and the client and all of that. And that's a lot of what Martha and I have talked about, is how do we help people trust themselves to even know what they want, right? Because I think you're hitting on it. People, they might know what they want, but they've got parts that talk them out of it, or think I shouldn't have this kind of a pillow, or that like somehow they're going to do it wrong. So I love that your intuition, I also get the sense that it vibrates higher, so that when you say that with that certainty, their whole system aligns with that. And it is true for them too. And you just sort of set the container for them to feel that. So I think that's really a gift.
Yes.
And it is our job. And I think there are people who, I mean, I do think that that's one thing that with my business partners, well, Rachel, when we have, that's really what we look at the premise of our entire practice is, we're not here, it's not our ego. We're not here to make it look like something we did. We're trying to help people express, they're giving us their ideas the best they can. And we just want to bring their vision out there. So but it's a lot of trust. And I that, that's an important part of intuition too. And like you guys talked about it so much, just about also like trusting yourself as well as the people who you're surrounding yourself with. So yeah, I think it's a fascinating tool that has many different aspects to it,
Exactly. Yeah. Hey, Julie, can you think of a time early on, possibly, when you first noticed that your intuition was talking to you, that you were getting intuitive information?
Yeah, actually, from a very young age, honestly, and Marvin knows a little bit more about me just because of our past. And there's not enough podcast time for any human to go through their life. What I'm going to say is that I had starting at about 7, I had a really tumultuous childhood, I guess. And like I always also say this about any children of the 70s and 60s, we're all raised. That's my favorite statement, like raised by wolves. Parenting was different. I had been in a particularly complex and sometimes unsafe situation with my siblings when I was young, just due to family circumstances. And I think I was the youngest of 3, so often on my own, which is not also an uncommon place for many, many people to be. But at a very young age, even in circumstances when I was not, I won't say unsafe as much as feeling scared, right? Because you're a kid, you're little. And when you don't have guidance or guardrails or people around you to necessarily point you in that direction or validate your intuition, I've always had a really good intuition about telling myself deep down, I'm going to be okay, which in a weird way, because I knew that there were, even if not in my immediate circle, there were people who loved us. I wasn't like unsafe in terms of like sleeping in a car or anything like that, but there were some interesting situations where we're just on our own so much. And things that I did get on my own, where I would get lost in New York City or have, be feeling scared and uncomfortable. But I never panicked. I would like walk into a store and say, I'm not sure what I need to be doing now, but I know I need help. Can you please help me? And thank God back then they didn't put me in a white van.
Right. Right. Yes, I was always scared of those white vans growing up. Yeah, I was.
I had a lot of situations where I actually had to go ask almost like strangers or people for like help or guidance, or even sometimes some of my siblings. But I think the intuition, I was so scared about that. I was not like a panicker. I think I would have been more damaged later on, or you could see someone who's skittish or afraid a lot. I honestly, I don't know why. I was like, okay, I lost on the subway. I am now deep in Harlem, and I'm just going to go ask the attendant what to do. And then, back then, for some reason, they were so nice. They call like a police officer. You get back to school, or like, it was just a weird time. Again, another topic. But anyway, it was just something like that. And I always do look back on that. I was like, that was weird that I used to just like go do things on my own and just somehow know it's going to be okay. Which might be really stupid, and it might be a miracle. But
well, I think it also speaks to your level of trust.
Right.
And maybe your level of self-trust and your level of something maybe outside of yourself that you were trusting. Maybe it was your intuitive guidance. Maybe it was just you were tapping into some larger than you trust. Because I think that's rare, Julie, and I think that's why you've been so successful, is that you've been able to tap in. Like you said, you're pretty decisive, right? You know how it feels for you. And that's most of the work Ange and I do with folks, is to help them get a sense of how they feel, whether it's in design or whether it's in the clothing they wear or the foods they eat or the people they date or whatever it is, right? So I think that really speaks to you from a very early age, which is amazing, really remarkable.
It's also survival mode. I think everyone's had
for sure
some to that. I think it's interesting because I was so young, and when I think about kind of setting up my own guardrails, which I have a lot to say about that too, when people need to give yourself what you need to continue your growth. But I find it really interesting too, is that my sister, who's only 16 months older than me, for example, is completely different. And so and this might even be a question back to you, or another thing is the difference between it being an innate thing. Are you born with it? Is it learned? And I'm sort of fascinated by how some people have this intuitive voice inside of them so much more than other people. And does it necessarily come from just, I was now a secure person. So I also, let's level set that. I think when I hear myself talk about myself, I sound like, well, I was a little feisty, no doubt. But I also had, like everybody, deep insecurities, which were around not having that parental guidance or feeling needed or whatever. That's psychology 101 around all that. So it's not like I walked around like I got it all figured out.
Yeah.
Because I really did not at all. So I do find it actually quite fascinating that I did use that intuitive voice so much to guide me. Maybe because I didn't have it from anybody else. So I didn't reach out to any other aspects. But then interestingly, when you get to asking about like the friends and things like that, I also felt like it almost worked against me, to be honest with you. In later years and in middle school and high school, where you're supposed to be doing what all the friends are doing and doing all these things. And sometimes I tended not to, and it actually worked against me. There was judgment. And at the time, I didn't know how to articulate, or we don't know why we're doing things, or things don't feel good to you. And then it ultimately can work against you because, girls do be mean.
Well, I had a similar experience, Julie, where growing up, like I always listened, not, as I said, I think in the first episode, like the through line for me was, how did I feel? And I didn't know what intuition was, but like if I didn't feel good, I didn't do that thing. I didn't go to that party except for that getting in the car. And that's why it was so remarkable for me, because I usually didn't do things against, what my intuition was telling me. So, but what I want to say about that, when you said it kind of backfired for you with friends, whatever, I mean, maybe socially, but in a bigger picture from what the universe was guiding you to do, probably was supportive of you, those decisions that you made.
I think so. I think that it was more about, I think what it did was my behavior, that need for love or acceptance, but refusal to, or knowing that I'm in this environment that made me feel icky inside.
Yes.
But I still, I wanted to be more of myself and be accepted, and it just wasn't happening.
Yeah.
But I still stuck around that group for year, so instead of removing myself, you just keep sticking with it, hoping like, well, maybe they'll like me better if I try harder. And then, no one likes the best person.
Well, and I think there's an aspect of that, though, also, Julie, that I can really resonate is there's no other options. Like if you're a kid in a school and these are the people you're with, like it's either go it alone or figure it out, or shut it down. But what I appreciate so much about you, what you're saying and what Martha has said, which is you had that early connection to your intuition, and you might not have always followed it, but you never lost connection with it. And I think that's pretty remarkable. So to your question, I do think everybody comes in with it, and then we get talked out of it, or it goes underground, or if you're like the two of you were able to maintain that connection. Mine, I had to get back because I sort of ignored it.
Oh yeah, that's so interesting. But I hope everyone gets it.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. It never goes away, right? But we just sort of stop listening. It's like the pilot light is turned down.
Yeah,
exactly.
I actually think that it's one. That's a look back thing, we're kids, right? We all learn and grow, and we are. I gotta tell you, like, it's a confidence thing. If sometimes it's just that look back, like, well, if I could have not cared, I actually would have probably been the most popular girl.
I know, right? Wouldn't that be great?
Was just, that's what I was saying. That's the irony of it, almost like you have this strong guiding force, but yet it like turned against me in so many ways. I look back and now I love it, and I almost am empowering it, and it feels amazing. And I was like,
Julie, I just wanted to address a little bit back. You said that does everybody have it, or are some people born with it more strongly? I think we know that everybody's born with it, right? It is literally a sixth sense. So we have the five senses we all talk about. It is a sixth sense that we are all born with. We all have it. I think the difference is some people's channels tend to be more clogged. In terms of, like, when I think about it like a radio frequency, and some people have more static than others. Why? Maybe they take in external information differently. Maybe they're highly sensitive. Highly sensitive people are actually physiologically wired differently. That could clog the channel. There's so many trauma. There's so many things that could clog a channel. But I do want our listeners to know every single person has the ability to connect to it clearly. Some people might just have to take a little more time, effort to clear the static.
Yep. I remember Angela saying, you saying you had to get it back now that I remember from previous. And I think that's, I think that so many people, I think, don't know they have it. Maybe that's the other way to look at it.
That's right.
So fascinating that people, that's why I hope I think that's why I hope more people listen to what you have to say. Because it is, I guess, if I could say anything, it really can be a powerful tool if you can tap into it somehow or work in your life somehow. But I do think it's so interesting. I think that was what's so interesting when you asked the question. I don't think I ever knew that that's what it was. And so that was exciting.
That's right.
When I started to listen to your podcast, I was like, oh, it's my gut. This very strong gut that I feel like I've had for a long time. And yeah, I'm thinking about it so differently now after listening to you. And it's been a really empowering tool to start to pay attention to. So thank you for that.
Julie, I just want to address, bring it up into your field of work, being an architect. So I just want to make sure we get a couple, a little bit of conversation around that. So I'm curious that how you experience intuition in your design process, or do you, or don't you?
I don't even know. Like, it's a hug. It is a 100%. Like, I don't know. And again, I can't articulate it, but almost everything I do, I mean, look, it's not like I'm just pulling it out of the sky. You're gathering information from your clients to understand, what they're looking for, obviously what our technical job description is. And then it's like you do intel. Like that's so much of my job right now. It's like, hearing what they need, hearing what they want, and trying to find ways to help. They a lot of times can't even articulate it. So then how do we look into, that's kind of what I was talking about, this holistic process that we really like to take. Like I'm trying to be like an example. Even if our task is this tiny space in a giant space, we can't just look at the tiny space. You have to look at everything holistically. And honestly, I think our ability to see outside of just what our task is and think outside the box and ask intuitive questions to our clients is what sometimes winds up leading to so much more work for us, because they'll say, I didn't even think of that. We're like, why stop the design process here when you're entering the building downstairs, for example, and there's, the user experience should start out here. And everything that they're picking up they're going to be taking in as they get up to the space that you're looking at. So look through, why are we neglecting the rest of the space? Let's look at everything together, and how do we enhance the experience in this space, without it looking like it's a foreign object that was just dropped in. And a lot of times, and I'm so honestly honored and blessed that we've had, like, most of our clients are repeat clients. And once we sort of start working with them, they start to also understand and respect this process that we have and the types of questions that we ask and the way we look at things. And I think we're drawing that intuition out of that. We're saying, how do you want people to feel when they come into this space? We're asking those questions when, sometimes all clients can do to express how they want a space to feel is because they're showing us their Pinterest board. used to be binders. So much more fun now.
Yeah.
That's what we do is we were literally interpreting these images that they're throwing out at. They might have like, they look nothing alike, like one picture to the next period. So we have to look at it and use my inside voice, just in my head voice, which I call my inside.
I love it.
I like that.
You know,
Yeah.
and like, okay, these look nothing alike, but I can feel, I can understand what this is, how this is making them feel. And then you can kind of go back and ask them that question. Is what you love about this is because this is making you feel cozy and this one makes, but you have a formality over here, trying to get us to bring it together. So we really try to help them get their own, it's actually their voice, actually. And we're just trying to, we can look at stuff now because we've just been doing this so long and kind of understand what we find are the most appealing and attractive aspects of what they're showing us so that we can stitch it together and then regurgitate it back out to them in something that is hopefully beautiful and that they love and works well for them from, all aspects of the project.
It's kind of
you're
what
really-
Angela, I was just going to say, that's what you and I do, Angela.
Yeah, exactly. I was just going to say, you're guiding them back to their own knowing. It just in a different context. It's beautiful.
Exactly.
It's so
It is fascinating.
Well, and
Yeah.
I think you're hitting on, and I know there's some research on this, that we get more, I don't know if the word is intuitive, but we get more abstract, intuitive, all of those things around our area of expertise. And so, right, that you've been doing design for so long that you're tapping into a whole different level of intuition because that's your gift, right? Like around that particular thing. And I think that's what everybody's trying to do, find out what that is for them. And you're helping them bring it out in one way and we're helping in another. I think that's fabulous.
Yeah. It is so interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, Julie, if you could whisper a bit of your knowledge that you have now to your younger self, what would you say to her?
That one makes me sad. It really does.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah.
Just like yourself,
Right?
stay like.
Yeah.
What really hurts me is when I think back at the unbelievable amount of insecurity and self-loathing that I had, was that I also knew that I really wasn't that bad.
Yes.
But when, like you said, we all have this just baggage that just every year it's like, it got lighter. My choices became, I became stronger. But you ask that, I look at this, this just why did it take so long? Sad. And so many people go around feeling that way. And it's heart-wrenching. It really is. But thankfully, in a weird way, I don't have a ton of regret. It lets us out of the best intuitive decisions I ever made in my entire life. And, my business partner, hilarious, crazy that 26 years later, we're still our business partners. I knew the minute I met her, it's mind blowing. I was I didn't even know her that well. I was this woman is, I need to be like her, and she needs to be, we need to be in our orbit. And, I kind of stalked her since she's actually been over me. So, I'm the worst one, I'm I'm going to take her down. I'm going to do better. So it doesn't work for me. I'm she looks really cool.
Yeah, totally.
John, she's so smart. Every day. I quit my job, which was another ridiculous thing.
Wow.
My job, and I had no business getting. And I literally called, gotta work with me. Are you gonna come over? Can you come over with me? And she's like, no, I need a job. Anyway, that's another story. But
I love that.
It's actually and then I'm not saying, my spouse isn't amazing and there, but those things, it took me so long to be in a place in my life where I could accept these amazing people into my life.
Yeah.
Because we all know the old story of like, you track like all of the, worst people that you could possibly surround yourself with when you're not in a healthy place, So I thankfully it sort of worked out.
I think it did. I think it worked out very
did.
well.
I think it did.
Crazy journey, I'll tell you that.
I love it.
I was kind of telling her, and I'm like, please do not. I don't want people to think that this is like like an
easy go.
Always is. But if we're, I also, if we're not challenging ourselves or if we're not digging a lot of times you can say to people like, you're causing this drama, like, and that used to be. People would say that to me and they were 100% correct. But sometimes that drama is part of the drive that, I'd rather some of the drama I dug my own hole in, but it gave me some of the best learning experiences in my whole life. If I didn't take a shot or try, I'm not going to play it safe. So I might as well just dig a little deeper at this point and see what.
I love it.
Just did not work out. That's all I'm saying. Not just people trying, but there's failures a huge.
That's right.
Deep it.
Well, it's a huge part of all successful people's story,
Right.
Is
And I
failure.
think one of the themes that this just even echoes is you learn more about trusting yourself when you don't
That's
trust
right.
yourself, and that
That's right.
and then you start using that muscle and say, no, I know what I need to do now.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's
I mean,
right.
I failed so many of my architecture exams, and I'm actually not kidding. I can't tell you how many people were like, "Don't you just think you should do something else?" And which sounds like you'd probably be like, "Ooh, who says that?" A lot of people, and a lot of people very close to me. And I was like, I don't know why. I was like, no, I'm gonna pass it one day. I mean, I cried a lot. I did think I was too stupid. I thought I was too stupid to pass the exams, but I'm telling you, even when I was saying it, I'm like, I'm going to pass them one day, and it might take me 20 years. It took me almost 10, and that used to be a really. I told Mark I used to be very, very ashamed of it, and now I think it's hilarious.
But you didn't not
That's right.
listen to what your gut knew was true. And I think
That's right.
that's the theme. Like you knew that was right for you.
Hey, Julie, can we ask you one more question? I think this is a really good one to end on. What's one intuitive nudge that you're currently listening to, even if you don't know where it's leading you yet?
Well, I think in the intro you mentioned this kind of second venture that we're getting into, this lifestyle brand, Field and Fold, that Rachel and I have been developing, and that's also we bought property, we bought a farm during COVID. Biggest intuitive move ever.
Yes.
But it's also this, I guess what it is always having this desire for this. Again, it's not architecture. So it's just sort of like a vision of just kind of, it could be just called being really greedy, that we want our hands in every single aspect of every single thing we do. But it could be kind of micromanaging. We could call it so many things. But I think, again, from a business standpoint, looking outside the realm of architecture itself, like physically, we love building our buildings. We love doing these projects. We have, again, we feel so lucky. So it's not out of like, I guess, and we're not quitting or anything, but it's kind of, if you're going to make these moves, I also always have believed in you do it when you're on the up and up, right? Not when you're desperately seeking another option to do something else. It's like when we're feeling really good and that we have a lot more to offer, but how do we, we love our jobs, and we love our clients, in case any of them are listening. But we, everybody, and it's our age, as we mentioned, just to give where we are, post college, post a lot of other things, and this and my business partner and I are the same stage in our lives. And so it's like a desire to start really looking back inside at what makes us happy. My business partner is a phenomenal, she can make clothes. She's so annoyingly talented. She like sculpt, like all of these crafts. So we're very into the maker space of making things. When we were in when you're in school and you can really just let your mind go wild on these creative projects. So what we're trying to do are create some other businesses and spaces that will allow us to really look inside to what makes us happy. And so, we're not the type of people who are just going to retire. It's not in our DNA. So we want to create environments and businesses that even if we do one day stop, like maybe obviously one day we'll stop working, but like the day-to-day of like clients, from a management standpoint and things like that we always love the entrepreneurial aspect of creating and making and so we have the ability for other people to enjoy crafts, that kind of making, and or we can just put it out in worlds for other people to enjoy and understand the things that move us and that we think are beautiful and that are contributing beauty to the rest of society, I guess you could say. So we're starting some other side projects, and we have no idea what if it'll work, if they'll work. We're putting, I'm being honest and saying we're putting our own finances into things that are scary, but just nothing makes me get up faster in the morning than that. So
I love that.
It's fun. So we'll see what happens. There's some that's and they're all related to Field and Fold in this lifestyle brand that we're trying to build. So it's like just keep building on it and hopefully just making beautiful things and creating beautiful spaces.
I love it. I love it. Well, thank you so much, Julie, for spending some time with us and talking to us about your process and what you've got going on. It's clear that you are really guided in this area, and I just appreciate it.
I appreciate you having me on, and your podcast has been so insightful, and I'm also excited to continue listening.
Yeah. Thanks so much, Julie. It was a joy.
Thanks, Julie.
All right. Talk to you soon.
Yes. Bye.
Hey, it's the end of the episode and we're back. Hey, friends.
If you like what you heard, please rate and review if you can figure out how to do it. It's not the simplest thing, but there is a way to find those 5 stars and click it. We heard that helps us.
Yes. And share with your friends.
Share with your friends. Thanks.